The battle finally ends, and the wounded are brought back to the sect for treatment while those who died are mourned. Although the immortal Du sect claims victory, victory always comes with sacrifice, and the sect suffers significant losses. Even so, fighting alongside their comrades gives everyone hope for a brighter tomorrow. 7 days later, at Little Kyong Peak, a sign hangs outside warning that injured people are recovering inside and visitors are not allowed. Meanwhile, Li Changshou casually pops a bean into his mouth while lounging on his bed, enjoying how relaxing it is to pretend to be sick. If possible, he wants nothing more than to avoid getting dragged into troublesome matters and quietly continue cultivating, since living such a peaceful life is his ultimate goal. However, a bright beam suddenly shoots over his head, startling him badly enough to curse. It is the immortal Du sect's messenger arrow, ordering Li Changshou to head over because Ji Wuyo has already been waiting for him for quite some time. Seeing it, he cannot help wondering why the sect's messenger arrow somehow feels deadlier than an actual weapon. A few moments later, another concern enters his mind. Ji Wuyo might be looking for him because his secret cultivation has been discovered. Standing in front of the building, Li Changshou considers how his hidden cultivation has long surpassed the level of an ordinary trump card, especially after all the effort he poured into the qi-calming turtle-breathing mantra. If Ji Wuyo is deliberately testing him, then he may have no choice but to activate his third backup plan. As Li Changshou enters the building, a voice confirms that he is Li Changshou, the disciple from Little Kyong Peak, before allowing him inside. Being invited directly into the room immediately puts him on edge. He even wonders whether Ji Wuyo intends to punish him and might point a sword at him the moment he enters. Instead, Ji Wuyo is simply sitting at a table and coughing. He calmly reassures Li Changshou that there is no reason to be nervous because he only summoned him over to discuss something trivial. Then blood begins dripping from the corners of Ji Wuyo's mouth as his coughing continues. Li Changshou is horrified and checks whether he is all right, unable to understand why Ji Wuyo looks so sick. Ji Wuyo dismisses it as a small problem and explains that a few days earlier, he received a mystical ability from Due that allows him to nurture Konat Qi. Unfortunately, he became too hasty while cultivating it and suffered what he calls minor injuries to his essence soul, though Li Changshou clearly finds the word minor difficult to believe. Ji Wuyo then hands Li Changshou a porcelain bottle and reveals that it comes from Xuandu. Between coughs, he explains that Xuandu entrusted Due with passing it along because he wants to sever some karma with him. Li Changshou gratefully accepts the bottle, but internally, he curses after realizing how badly the summons scared him. For a moment, he genuinely believed his secrets had been exposed and nearly abandoned everything to run. Ji Wuyo explains that receiving the bottle is part of his fate and reminds him to make proper use of the spirit pills inside. With nothing else to discuss, he allows Li Changshou to leave if he has no further concerns. Li Changshou respectfully acknowledges the instructions, confirms that he has nothing else to bring up, and takes his leave. However, while making his way out, another violent round of coughing erupts behind him. Li Changshou looks back with concern, increasingly convinced that the immortal Du sect is an incredibly dangerous place. As he continues down, he considers the bottle again. Since Xuandu is the one who sent it, the karma he wants to sever is probably connected to the matter Elder Moon previously approached him about, which immediately makes him curious about what kind of treasure is inside. The moment Li Changshou checks, his eyes widen. Inside are level 6 spirit pills, capable of nourishing the essence soul, strengthening the foundation, stabilizing the essence soul, and reinforcing Konat Yang. However, there is one troublesome detail. The pill eventually produces an irrepressible effect on the bodies of male qi refinement cultivators. Li Changshou immediately covers the bottle and cautiously looks around. His expression darkens as he wonders exactly what Xuandu and Elder Moon have done to his marriage affinity clay figurines. Still, a level 6 spirit pill is far too valuable to waste, so Li Changshou puts the bottle away and considers letting Qiwan use it instead. That idea quickly leads him to wonder whether he should also persuade Qiwan to find a wife. Continuing along, Li Changshou decides the pill could eventually become a congratulatory gift whenever Qiyuan finds his Dao companion. Before long, he encounters several cultivators rushing off to burn incense and pray before a group of newly completed statues honoring nameless heroes. Li Changshou becomes confused after overhearing them and begins wondering whether some other outside force helped the immortal Du sect besides him. An altar has already been constructed for the statues, honoring them as heroes of the human race who will forever receive the immortal Du sect's respect. Standing before the altar are enormous stone statues modeled after Li Changshou's 3 paper effigies, the Buff Man and the pair of cultivators. Li Changshou is completely taken aback. To him, this has gone way too far, and there is absolutely no way he can allow the immortal Du sect to start praying to him. A cultivator urges the others to pray to the heroes of the human race and offer them the highest form of respect. They bow before the altar again and again, leaving Li Changshou completely startled by the scene. Li Changshou facepalms, feeling incredibly awkward, but suddenly senses movement from the sack where Chiyuan is confined and wonders if Chiyuan has already awakened. A headache immediately hits him when he remembers that he trapped Chiyuan inside a sack and has absolutely no explanation prepared for it. Meanwhile, over at Golden Turtle Island, Due arrives, and the elders who recognize him immediately wonder why someone of his status has come to their island. Their surprise grows when they notice that Due is carrying Yuanze, Hanji's master. Due remarks that the Dao practitioners of Golden Turtle Island are certainly quick, but he can still catch Yuanze. He then reminds the elders that they have remained neutral, yet Yuanze maliciously attacked them, so he has already disposed of the evil disciple, and there is no need for them to thank him. The elders can hardly believe that Yuanze attacked the immortal Du sect and openly doubt Du's account. However, Dewey calmly offers them 2 choices. They can personally confirm everything at the immortal Du sect, or he can make a Heaven Dao promise proving that none of his claims are false. With a sinister look, Dewey adds that although Yuanze was being controlled by the blood mosquitoes, the casualties suffered by the immortal Du sect cannot simply be ignored. If Golden Turtle Island fails to give him an acceptable answer, he will break the bottle in his hand containing Yuanze's soul. One of the elders immediately pleads for mercy. The elders promise to punish Yuanze, but Due makes it clear that this is nowhere near enough. With no other option, they swear that they will never harm the disciples of the immortal Du sect again. Only after their repeated pleas is Yuanze's soul finally spared. Even then, Yuanze can only reincarnate as a person with good fortune, and from that point onward, he will no longer have any connection to the life of cultivation. Sometime later, Aoyi sees Hanji sobbing beside the river and wonders what he can possibly do for her. He approaches her and tries to comfort her, explaining that Yuanze has simply reincarnated into another life to restart his cultivation, so they should surely be able to meet again someday. But Hanji continues crying, insisting that Yuanze was innocent because he was only being controlled. Aoyi remarks that perhaps it was simply his fate, but those words immediately anger Hanji. She refuses to accept such an unfair outcome, questioning why the bastard controlling Yuanze did not die instead, and why their enemies could not simply stop the mind control rather than killing him. At that moment, Aoyi notices that the people who escorted Yuanze's soul to the underworld have returned and quickly points them out to Hanji. She immediately approaches the 2 cultivators, desperate to learn what happened to Yuanze. However, the 2 hesitate, clearly unsure how to deliver the news. They explain that Yuanze should be fine, and before drinking Mengpo's soup, the remaining wisp of his soul even spoke one final time. Hanji eagerly presses them for what Yuanze said. According to them, Yuanze reassured everyone not to worry because something as trivial as reincarnation should not cause any problems. When Hanji demands more details, they reluctantly continue. Yuanze successfully passes the Bridge of Helplessness, drinks Mengpo's soup, and arrives before several reincarnation paths. However, for some unknown reason, a sudden wave rises from the River of Forgetfulness and sends Yuanze's soul directly toward the Path of Beasts. The 2 cultivators are unable to save him because his soul is immediately absorbed into the reincarnation wheel. Hanji is already crestfallen after learning that Yuanze entered the Path of Beasts, but the news only becomes worse. The 2 explain that Yuanze appears to have reincarnated as a demon, and in his next life, he should become a black-skinned leopard. Aoyi immediately grows worried when Hanji begins losing her balance. She loses consciousness moments later, but Aoyi manages to catch her before she hits the ground and desperately tries to wake her. A short while later, someone checks a pulse and determines that the person's essence soul is in turmoil while their mental state continues declining, leaving their body on the verge of collapse. The person being examined is Li Changshou, while Qi Yuan is the one checking on him. Li Changshou coughs violently and insists that he is fine, so Qi Yuan has no reason to worry. Behind him, Lan Ling cries while explaining that Li Changshou feared Qi Yuan would recklessly rush into danger and risk his life, which is why they dazed him. She continues by claiming that Li Changshou fought valiantly against the enemy to protect him and ended up severely wounded in the process. At the same time, through voice transmission, she checks how convincing her performance is, while Li Changshou responds that it is not bad, just slightly too dramatic. Li Changshou then admits that he was the one who drugged Qi Yuan and caused him to faint. Qi Yuan dismisses it as a trivial matter and assures him that he holds no blame against him. Still coughing up blood, Li Changshou points out that those are only verbal words without any proof, so he continues feeling deeply guilty. The moment Qi Yuan hears this, he immediately swears upon the Great Tao that he will not blame Li Changshou. With tears filling his eyes, Li Changshou then reminds him that unless he chants the gratitude incantation, the Great Tao will not detect the promise. Li Changshou suddenly spits out another mouthful of blood, startling Qi Yuan so badly that he immediately agrees to perform the gratitude incantation. Only then does Qi Yuan suddenly wonder why this whole situation feels suspiciously like he has been tricked. Li Changshou waits for Qi Yuan to perform the gratitude incantation, but when Qi Yuan remains silent, he calls out to him. Suddenly, Qi Yuan's eyes glimmer sinisterly as he remarks that Li Changshou's qi-calming turtle-breathing mantra apparently does more than conceal his cultivation level, since it also helps him pretend to be sick. The moment Qi Yuan waves his horsetail whisk, Li Changshou panics and insists that he is only trying to be filial, but Qi Yuan orders him to stop lying and calls him a little bastard. A sharp cry of pain suddenly rings out from the hut. A few moments later, Li Changshou rubs his ass while complaining about how much it hurts. He reflects that if he were not afraid of injuring Qi Yuan with his qi, he never would have taken that ass beating without protection. Then brings up how Lan Ling did absolutely nothing to help him. Lan Ling counters that he is the one who taught her that one sacrifice is better than two. As they approach the alchemy room, Lan Ling wonders whether his ass hurts badly, while Li Changshou insists that it is not that painful. Lan Ling cheerfully urges him not to be shy and offers to apply medicine for him, but Li Changshou firmly refuses before ordering her to go outside and play because he needs to meditate and sort through his thoughts. Lan Ling sulks over how Li Changshou still treats her like a child and privately calls him a stupid brother. Meanwhile, Li Changshou wonders where his teachings went wrong for Lan Ling to end up like this. Turning his attention elsewhere, he looks at the black qi in his hand and decides that he needs to deal with it. Li Changshou identifies it as what appears to be negative karma and figures that something must have happened at the South Sea God Sect, so he closes his eyes to see what is going on. At the village where people worship him, two groups of mortals are locked in battle. Li Changshou never expected things to become this serious, with people actually sacrificing their lives in the name of the sea god of the South Ocean, while the negative karma partly created by the deaths and suffering from the battle has now reached him. Since the karma needs to be resolved, Li Changshou uses the incense merit he has been gathering, with the merits of incense offerings coming from protecting and enlightening mortals. He applies those merits directly to the negative karma, causing the two forces to cancel each other out. Li Changshou reflects that, to a certain extent, the existence of the South Ocean Sea God Sect has caused the villages across this small region to unite and support one another, which benefits the stability of the world. On top of that, people everywhere continue worshipping him and offering incense, which is basically equivalent to the heavenly Tao acknowledging him as an illegitimate god. He complains that he has practically been forced into acceptance simply because people keep worshipping him. Li Changshou then smiles slyly while considering how to destroy his Sea God Sect before deciding that he really needs to give them a scare. Elsewhere, Aoyi knocks on Hanji's door and requests that she open it. When Hanji does, Aoyi immediately urges her to stop wallowing in sadness and offers to take a walk with her. But Hanji politely thanks him for his concern and requests that he return. Aoyi becomes disappointed and points out that he came from so far away, then requests that she at least let him inside. Hanji finally allows him to enter. Hanji is crying, so Aoyi comforts her by explaining that Yuanze is not necessarily heading toward a bad outcome. Even if he becomes a demon, they should not worry too much because once he reincarnates, he will definitely be able to cultivate again. However, Hanzi remains worried that after becoming a demon, Yuanze could lose all his luck and fortune, leaving him unable to transform or pursue the Great Tao. And she has no idea what they would do if that happens. Ao Yi reassures her that Yuanze is not some third-rate practitioner, and someone with his level of experience would not make such a mistake. He then points out another advantage, since after Yuanze reincarnates, he will definitely be unable to speak for a long time, meaning he will not be able to get himself into trouble. Still crying, Hanji acknowledges his point before admitting that she is simply sad and still finds everything difficult to accept. Aoyi suggests that they go for a walk, and Hanji agrees. For Yuanze's sake, Aoyi resolves that he will definitely protect her. Meanwhile, inside Little Chiang Peak's alchemy room, Li Changshou looks uncomfortable as someone grabs his hands while calling him Little Shosho. That person is Juju, and she pleads with Li Changshou to help her just this once, even promising him a reward. The moment Li Changshou learns that Juju wants his help, he immediately becomes troubled. Li Changshou smiles brightly and assures Juju that if she needs help, then of course he is willing, so there is no need for any reward. In his mind, this works out perfectly since he can sever the karma between the two of them at the same time. Assuming that a drunk like her must want him to create some kind of wine, Li Changshou is caught off guard when Juju excitedly brings up her formation array instead and wants his promise that he will help her with it. Before he can even figure out what array formation she is referring to, the two of them are already soaring through the skies. A few moments later, Li Changshou looks horrified at the damage and remarks that she truly is a genius because he has never seen anyone destroy an array formation this badly. Just by barging into the protection array, she somehow manages to destroy practically everything, leaving Juju wondering whether there is any hope left. Li Changshou responds that it would be amazing if she could actually fix something like this. But Juju immediately laughs and warns him not to praise her since she has always been talented. Of course, he is not praising her at all. But Li Changshou simply lets the matter go and instructs her to remove the arrays and find some materials, leaving everything else to him. One incense of time later, Juju hands over a bag containing all the materials she has. Despite being in this place for 1,000 years, this is apparently everything she owns. With the array already removed, she leaves the rest in his hands, while Li Changshou looks at the work ahead and recognizes that this is going to be a massive project. Meanwhile, Aoyi and Hanzi are walking hand in hand. After confirming that she is feeling much better, Aoyi suggests checking out a place ahead, and Hanzi agrees. However, while pointing out what appears to be a cosmetic shop, Aoyi fails to watch where he is going and walks straight into someone's chest. The man immediately complains about some blind idiot crashing into his new clothes. But after recognizing Aoyi as the prince of their dragon clan, his attitude becomes even more mocking. He ridicules him for having the nerve to show his face there, especially while accompanied by a human. Standing much taller than Aoyi, the dragon even mocks their difference in height, wondering how they could possibly have been born during the same month and year when the difference between them is so enormous. Embarrassed and exasperated, Aoyi grabs the upset Hanzi and decides to leave since they still have other matters to handle. The dragon refuses to let things end there, pretending that he cannot even see Aoyi and mocking him by wondering where the strange voice is coming from. That is enough to make Aoyi snap and call him a bastard. The dragon continues by bringing up Aoyi's defeat against the trash Immortal Du Sect, claiming that he had wanted to see him ever since hearing about it. Now that they have finally met, he concludes that Aoyi is exactly what he expected, the shame of the dragon clan, and that a weakling like him should remain at home instead of tainting the clan's reputation. Aoyi's expression turns sinister as he remarks that the dragon apparently has no intention of moving aside. Rather than backing down, he confidently challenges him to go somewhere quiet and settle things with a duel, giving him the chance to prove whether he can defeat someone he considers a weak dragon. With a fierce look in his eyes, Aoyi challenges him to accept. The dragon is briefly taken aback by the sudden change in Aoyi's aura, but he still agrees, refusing to admit that he is afraid of him. A few moments later, Aoyi is already unleashing a relentless barrage of punches. His opponent is completely overwhelmed by the attacks and cannot understand what is happening, especially since Aoyi is somehow so powerful that he cannot even fight back. Aoyi charges forward to finish the battle, but the dragon refuses to be underestimated and suddenly summons water around himself. Using his mystical ability, Swimming Dragon turns into water. The dragon completely engulfs his body in water, causing Aoyi's attack to pass straight through him. Aoyi admits that the mystical ability is impressive, but since they are both dragons, escaping into water is meaningless. However, the seawater beneath him suddenly begins swirling as shadows appear inside it, revealing that his opponent is using the water to create clones. The cloning ability feels strangely familiar to Aoyi, yet at the same time, it also feels like some kind of counterfeit. The water begins swirling violently, and in the next moment, all of the clones burst out together and launch a simultaneous attack. Aoyi immediately responds by defending himself with his crystal shards. Aoyi's crystal shard pierces through the water, and as he launches more shards toward the clones, every part they strike immediately turns back into water. None of them feel solid, so Aoyi concludes that they are all clones. And after taking a hit, Aomu's copies struggle to reform. He keeps attacking them one after another, watching each one burst into water until one crystal shard suddenly breaks on impact. Aoyi smiles wickedly as he declares that he has finally caught Aomu, adding that his mystical abilities are still far from the real deal. He immediately gathers the surrounding crystal shards and forms them into a massive pillar before sending it straight ahead. The clones notice how insanely fast the pillar is moving, but something feels strange, because the ice completely ignores them. As it continues flying past every clone, they wonder what it is actually targeting. And Aomu soon figures that Aoyi may have already discovered his real body. Before he can react or dodge, the attack lands, forcing him to cough up blood as he crashes to the ground. Aoyi watches him fall, then looms over him, and demands to know how it feels to lose against someone he looked down on. He brings up the insults about gathering with humans, challenges the confidence behind his clan's attitude, and orders him to apologize to Hanji. However, Aomu refuses to accept the defeat, insisting that humans are a lower-class species and that he was never wrong. He challenges Aoyi to another battle, promising that if he loses again, he will shut up and follow his orders. Aoyi accepts without hesitation, declaring that if the beating still is not enough, he will keep crushing him until he is finally satisfied. A few moments later, the second round begins. Aomu takes a massive step forward and digs his feet into the water, warning Aoyi not to regret his decision as the surrounding water rises and shrouds him. With a fierce look, he sends the water surging forward and unleashes his mystic ability, 3,000 water spears. The spears race toward Aoyi at intense speed, but he remains completely unfazed, dismissing the technique as even worse than the cloning ability. The barrage slams into his position, filling the area with smoke. Aomu briefly wonders whether Aoyi is dead, only to recognize that the presence of smoke means the enemy clearly is not finished. A hand suddenly reaches out from the water, and after hearing him wonder whether he is dead, Aoyi coldly tells him to keep dreaming. Aomu freezes in surprise as the hand reaches him, and Aoyi menacingly grabs him by the throat before demanding that he apologize to Hanji. Still unwilling to surrender, Aomu boldly insists that he is not satisfied because he has another ability, then dares Aoyi to fight him again. To his surprise, Aoyi casually lets him go and immediately agrees, inviting him to come at him again. While Aomu can barely believe that he accepted so easily, a few moments later, the third round begins, and Aomu instantly unleashes his 3 feet great water spear. Aoyi remains unimpressed, considering the attempt completely pointless before using his own 6 feet great water spear and ending the fight almost immediately. Even then, Aomu still refuses to accept it. He demands another round, followed by a 4th, 5th, 6th, and more, until the 9th round finally takes place. An hour later, Aomu's face is already swollen from the repeated beatings, and he finally admits defeat. He bows to Hanji and apologizes to her, while she calmly accepts it and remarks that she does not mind. Then, to Aoyi's surprise, Aomu suddenly kneels in front of him and requests that he accept his bow. Aoyi questions what he is doing and urges him to get up, because he is his elder cousin, but Aomu firmly declares that from that moment onward, he will be his little cousin instead. Aoyi is immediately disgusted by the idea and rejects it internally, since having a little cousin taller than him would be a direct blow to his ego. Someone has Juju examine the first array formation, which focuses heavily on preventing detection. If it is arranged properly, perhaps even Wang Qin will be unable to see through the place. Juju finds the idea amusing and chooses that one. Li Changshou explains that if Juju ever encounters a powerful enemy, the formation will increase her chances of survival, and if she can hold out longer, she may even survive until help arrives. Because of that, he likes the formation and decides to use it. However, Juju wonders why all the array formations cannot simply be high quality when she can afford them. She brags about her wealth while mocking Li Changshou for being so bad with money, leaving him privately wondering if Juju is truly certain she wants the most expensive array formations available. Li Changshou then admits that the samples were actually made using the materials she gave him, since he has already used all of his own precious materials on the array formations of Little Cheong Peak. Even so, Juju confidently urges him to continue. In her mind, there is no possible way a mere cluster of array formations inside the attic could consume the savings she has accumulated over thousands of years. Li Changshou immediately agrees. Sometime later, however, Juju's once full money bag is completely deflated and empty. She mourns her savings while Li Changshou explains that every corner has now been fitted with the highest quality array formations. The result is not bad at all, and just as he expected, the product of Juju's savings looks beautiful. Juju laments that once she runs out of alcohol in the future, she will no longer have money to buy more. Li Changshou awkwardly admits to himself that he became a little too absorbed while setting up the arrays, so he may have spent slightly too much. After saving for 1,000 years, Juju is now right back where she started, and she places all the blame on Li Changshou. If she runs out of alcohol next time, she will simply take it from Little Cheong Peak. While she continues sulking, Li Changshou encourages her to view the situation from another perspective. Her precious materials and spirit stones have not disappeared at all. They have merely changed form and are now accompanying her. Juju immediately lashes out at him for daring to ridicule her and keeps hitting Li Changshou. Declaring that she feels so poor, she might as well move to Little Poor Peak. 3 days later, inside a temple, crowds burn incense while praising the sea god of the South Ocean. The worshippers insist that everyone should believe in the sea god of the South Ocean, regardless of whether they are rich or dying. Nearby, Li Changshou, disguised as an old man, peeks out from the forest and is surprised by just how busy the temple has become. Without warning, a man approaches him, addresses him as a fellow Taoist, and questions where he came from and what brought him to their small temple. Li Changshou explains that he traveled there from far away and noticed the abundance of offerings, so he came over to have a look. The man brightens immediately, considering the situation perfectly natural because their sea god is extremely efficacious. Li Changshou claims that this is his first time there and that he knows nothing about the sea god. The man can hardly believe it. As far as he is concerned, the sea god's name is already known throughout the world. So, Li Changshou should be careful with his words and actions in front of the sea god statue. As the man offers to show him around, Li Changshou cannot shake the feeling that the entire place resembles a direct sales organization. He reflects that this situation began because he was injured and accidentally allowed his real appearance to be seen, only for that appearance to somehow become one of their statues. Since he still has not cultivated the ability to prevent others from remembering his appearance, he can only try to make the best of the situation. Elsewhere, someone preaches to the worshippers that the sea god considers the suffering caused by storms insignificant, then encourages everyone to hear the stories involving the sea god's war with the carp spirit and the dragon girl. The preacher even claims that the sea god brings them fish, so believers must put in effort if they truly have faith in him. Hearing all of this leaves Li Changshou appalled. He has definitely never done any of those things, and he has never even seen the carp spirit or the dragon girl before. Unable to accept it, Li Changshou declares that the stories are clearly exaggerated. One of the men overhears him and immediately confronts him over those words, demanding to know where he came from. The man proudly introduces their group as the Sea God Sect and boasts that every envoy of the Sea God Sect is extremely powerful because they have all received the Sea God's asylum. Li Changshou points toward the statue and dismisses the claim. Anyone can gain immense strength through cultivation, so that alone proves nothing. While the stories surrounding the sea god are nothing more than baseless rumors. If the sea god of the South Sea is truly so efficacious, Li Changshou is willing to stand right there and let the sea god make his presence known. Instead of doubting their faith, however, the believers warn that the sea god may be generous toward him now, but he might change his mind and punish him in the future. From their perspective, Li Changshou simply does not understand their sea god at all. They promptly throw him out of the temple, ordering the non-believer to scram. Standing outside, Li Changshou cannot help finding the situation strange. He has just been thrown out of a temple built to consecrate his own statue, now becoming the first person in history to attempt to destroy his own religion. Li Changshou considers how to eliminate the Sea God Sect without causing bloodshed. Before he can do that, he first needs to understand why so many people believe in him, a sea god who has never appeared before. Once he identifies the important points holding the sect together, he can deal with them one by one. Night eventually falls, and bright moonlight covers the temple. The elderly man from earlier uses a fire talisman to illuminate his path and complains that the sea god believers are completely insane. They only became willing to leave after darkness fell, so he needs to report everything quickly. At that moment, a bird approaches the elderly man. It is a crow. The crow complains about how late he is and becomes surrounded by smoke, having already grown impatient. Moments later, the crow transforms into a man and demands an update on what happened with the Sea God Sect that day. The man questions the elderly man about any new developments concerning the Sea God Sect, and the elderly man reports that he recently encountered an old Taoist who openly insulted the sea god until the believers finally threw him out. Satisfied with the report, the man remarks that the elderly man has been performing well lately and deserves a reward. The elderly man accepts the paper talisman, only to freeze in surprise when he notices a gold coin attached to it. The man then transforms back into a crow and flies away, reminding him to keep working hard because the more valuable the information becomes, the greater his rewards will be. The elderly man eagerly promises to work twice as hard. Afterward, he bites the gold coin to test it and happily confirms that it is genuine. However, his satisfaction does not last long, because he suddenly becomes dizzy and starts collapsing toward the ground. As the elderly man falls unconscious, Li Changshou emerges from the ground some distance away, laughing sinisterly at the absurd situation. In the dead of night, a certain sea god has secretly entered his own temple just to knock out the elderly temple master. Without wasting time, Li Changshou places his hand on him and activates his soul-searching technique, the Misty Dream Tactic. Through the technique, he discovers that the temple master is not only reporting information to the Crow God Sect, he is also supplying information to the Men and Women Sect, the Old God Sect, the Great Murderous Sect, and several others. Li Changshou soon discovers that the elderly temple master has been secretly informing 7 different sects within 1,500 kilometers, leaving him wondering whether he never gets tired and whether he even values his own life. He retracts his hand and ends the Misty Dream Tactic, but his body begins trembling with disappointment. On the surface, the elderly man is responsible for maintaining the incense in the Sea God Sect's temple, yet in reality, he is simply an informant who mainly profits by selling information about the sea god. Li Changshou even starts crying as he reflects that if there were more people like this elderly temple master, he would never have needed to travel all the way here and personally destroy the religion. Still, he quickly stops joking around and focuses on the real problem. He needs to find a way for the Sea God Sect to collapse naturally so he can sever the karma connecting him to it. The simplest and most effective solution is to destroy the divine image surrounding the sea god of the South Ocean, making the mortal followers believe that they have devoted themselves to the wrong god. Fortunately, a massive sea god ceremony will take place in Anshui City 3 days later, giving Li Changshou the perfect opportunity. With a grin, he plans to destroy the statue using his paper effigy. Once the worshippers watch the sea god's own statue get destroyed without any divine intervention, it should prove that the sea god does not exist. This is his secret technique, blowing himself up. When the day of the ceremony finally arrives, around 2,000 kilometers from Anshui City, Aomu, Aoyi, and Hanji are traveling across the sea inside a carriage. Aomu's persistence has already caused Aoyi to give up on settling their seniority, and when Aomu offers him a drink, Aoyi refuses because he is not in the mood. Aomu is stunned that Aoyi shows absolutely no interest in such irresistible liquor, making him wonder whether avoiding alcohol is somehow the secret behind his strength. He immediately throws his cup away, declaring that if Aoyi refuses to drink, then he will stop drinking as well. Both Aoyi and Hanji are shocked that Aomu casually tosses away the limited edition glass cup without hesitation. Aomu then wonders whether he should completely stop drinking if he wants to become as powerful as him. But Ao Yi explains that his strength has nothing to do with avoiding alcohol. Before the conversation can continue, a brilliant pillar of light suddenly appears in the distance, and Ao Yi points toward it, wondering what it could be. Ao Mu studies the strange phenomenon, but admits that he has no idea. An elderly turtle beside them explains that those are merit clouds, created by humans worshipping the sea god of the South Ocean. In recent years, a Sea God Sect has suddenly appeared in the South Ocean and expanded at an astonishing rate. They have secretly investigated the organization as well, yet they still have no idea who the mysterious sea god actually is. Hearing this immediately sends someone into a fiery rage. Ao Mu is furious. Even he, the mighty prince of the South Ocean's Dragon Palace, would never dare to call himself the sea god, yet someone else has apparently taken that title for himself. Without hesitation, he orders his men to mobilize their forces and follow him toward the unusual location. Meanwhile, back in Anshui City, Changshou watches the crowd grow increasingly excited as the high priest finally arrives. According to the believers, the high priest is the personal spokesperson of the sea god, and his appearance alone proves the sea god's glory. Changshou blushes at their devotion. After observing these people for several days, their overwhelming loyalty has already made him reconsider whether destroying the religion is really necessary, and now he also finds himself curious about what his supposed spokesperson actually looks like. Soon, a bulky man appears while being carried on a palanquin. The crowd immediately erupts in celebration, praising the high priest for his endless power, wisdom, and righteousness while loudly declaring their loyalty. Changshou can only stare in disappointment. He cannot believe that this is what his spokesperson looks like, and after seeing him for himself, one conclusion becomes even more certain. This religion really needs to disappear as soon as possible. The sea god statue is moved to a hill 5 kilometers outside the city, and hundreds of thousands of disciples follow it, cheering as they pledge their loyalty to both the sea god and the high priest. Among the believers, Changshou silently apologizes to them. The primordial world is simply too vast and dangerous for someone like him to protect everyone, and he has not even plucked his Dao fruit of longevity yet. Even if he continues being the sea god, he still cannot guarantee the safety of every devotee. So today, he intends to personally break their illusions. Just then, black karma appears near the sea god statue, and the people immediately recognize it as the great demon. Changshou has already been expecting this, confirming internally that it has indeed come. It is most likely here to gather information about the Sea God Sect, but fortunately, he is present. Otherwise, if it starts a killing spree, he will end up gaining an enormous amount of negative karma. Changshou steps into the demon's path, leaving them to wonder which reckless bastard is blocking their way. Since their target is the Sea God Sect, they decide he can simply be ignored. However, Changshou directly questions whether they came to gather information about the Sea God Sect, then apologizes because he has no intention of allowing it. The demons burst into laughter, mocking the idea that he can stop all three of them by himself. Changshou raises his sword into the air and remarks that this is their first meeting, then swings it forward, releasing multiple slashing auras while calmly adding that it will also be their last. One demon manages to dodge the attack, though the slash still nicks his face. He laughs at Changshou for failing to aim properly and missing despite all his nonsense, only to notice his other two companions suddenly collapsing. At that moment, he discovers that the sword is poisoned. The poison quickly begins taking effect, and after struggling for a moment, he falls just like the other two. With the demons defeated, Changshou declares that the world is peaceful again and reprimands them for daring to cause trouble in the prosperous land of humans. He then smirks while wondering how they liked his poisonous sword, considering the fight almost too easy and planning to collect their souls later. Meanwhile, the high priest urges the people never to give up, because the sea god will always remain by their side. The sea god will also guide lost souls in the sea toward reincarnation, allowing them to appear beside their loved ones again many years later. Suddenly, Changshou appears above the sea god statue, surrounded by bright light. The people immediately rejoice, believing the sea god has appeared, and begin bowing down. One of them even expresses his gratitude for the sea god protecting his son from the sea. However, the high priest orders everyone not to kneel. Pointing at Changshou, he denounces him as a demon because he does not even resemble their sea god. Changshou calls him a fool and declares that there cannot possibly be a sea god in the South Ocean. He then gathers his aura into a gigantic palm and sends it toward the sea god statue below. Once he finds a way to return the merits from the incense offerings to all of them, neither side will owe the other anything anymore. And he silently apologizes to everyone as the attack descends. But before the gigantic palm can destroy the statue, an enormous slashing aura cuts straight through it. Changshou has no idea what is happening, and his eyes widen as he admits internally that he never expected there would be a time when he was wrong. A gigantic axe-wielding aura has sliced his attack in half, and only then does Changshou discover that the people of Xiong Village have been deceiving him. The muscular men from Xiong Village release their aura together, accumulating it into the massive force responsible for cutting apart his attack. Until now, Changshou has always regarded the people of Xiong Village as nothing more than buff, simple, and honest men. Instead, they have been hiding their true strength all along, making him remark that the Sea God Sect of the South Ocean might as well change its name to the Unpredictable Sect. The men, women, and young people of Xiong Village have all worked together to deceive him, and even the strange fish that carried him before might have been deliberately caught and killed by them. Changshou admits that he has also concealed his abilities a little too much at times, but compared to Xiong Village, he is definitely inferior. Even so, Changshou grins. Although these events are shocking, they still do not affect his judgment of the situation. The gigantic axe-wielding aura rises into the air and begins attacking, but Changshou dodges every strike. He finds those enormous hands almost like living things, appearing slow while actually moving fast, seeming light while carrying immense weight, and every attack is dangerously powerful. One slash misses Changshou and crashes into a rocky mountain, splitting it apart with a single swing. The sheer power shocks him, and he concludes that an attack at that level can definitely destroy his paper effigy. Then, the massive axe suddenly dissolves and transforms into a bow and arrow. Changshou avoids the first shot and smirks while hiding behind the clouds, only to curse in horror when another arrow pierces straight through his cover. More arrows immediately follow, forcing him to keep dodging as he wonders how Xiong Village can possibly possess this much power. He admits that his situation is getting really bad, but soon notices that the arrows have a height limit. As long as he moves higher, he can completely avoid them. Changshou hides farther up in the clouds, while the people below angrily call him a scaredy cat and a fake god, demanding that he come down and fight them. Appalled by the situation, he considers this the greatest joke in history and believes he might be the most embarrassing incense god ever. Fortunately, the enormous aura finally begins fading and dissipating. The people of Xiong Village are already exhausted and out of breath, unable to continue without taking a break. Seeing this, Changshou wonders whether the villagers possess some kind of bloodline power. He recalls that after Pangu split heaven and earth, his essence soul transformed into the three pure ones, while his corpse produced another race known as the Magi. They possessed the protection of merit, along with a small amount of divine power left behind by God Pangu, and after the war between the dragons and phoenixes, the Magi became the strongest among the 100 races. Over time, however, they grew complacent and began bullying the masses. The 100 races became dissatisfied and gradually joined forces against them, leading to 3 battles between the Magi and demons. In the end, both races destroyed each other's destiny, allowing the human race to rise. Because the hatred between humans and demons could never be resolved, the Magi married humans during the long period before the 3rd battle between the Magi and demons, eventually giving birth to the Magihumans. With that history in mind, Changshou analyzes that the people of Xiong Village could be descendants of the Magihumans. Their ancestors may have survived by living in a remote corner of the South Ocean, escaping the calamity that befell the Magihumans. Meanwhile, everyone is stunned when the high priest lifts an enormous boulder with just one hand. He reprimands Changshou for daring to pose as their god, then hurls the boulder directly toward the cloud where he is hiding and demands that he come down. The overwhelming strength behind the throw surprises Changshou, confirming his suspicion that such power must belong to descendants of the Magihumans. His eyes widen when several more boulders suddenly fly toward him. The attack is so extreme that it resembles a human-made meteor shower. Forced to descend, Changshou moves down to avoid the incoming boulders, which smash into one another and erupt in a massive explosion. As he reaches the ground, the people excitedly point out that he has fallen and credit the high priest for knocking him down. The high priest immediately gives chase, ordering some believers to follow him and kill Li Changshou while the rest remain behind to protect the statue. Meanwhile, Li Changshou applies aura to his throat, clears it, and conducts a mic check. Li Changshou first tests out his copied voice, then uses it to call the devotees and orders everyone to chase the bastard pretending to be their god, which is actually him. The devotees immediately rile up and rush after Li Changshou, believing the command came directly from the high priest, while the real high priest stands there completely confused because he never spoke at all. He quickly orders everyone to return and protect the statue, explaining that they do not need so many people chasing Li Changshou and that Li Changshou has mimicked his voice, so they should stop listening to it. Unfortunately, the devotees are already too absorbed in the chase to hear him, continuing forward while insisting that they are simply following the high priest's orders. Since the Magi are masters of the earth, they are incredibly good at running, and in their frenzy, they fail to notice that they have already trampled over their own high priest. Even then, he continues trying to explain that he never ordered everyone to chase Li Changshou. Meanwhile, another one of Li Changshou's effigies emerges from the ground, laughing at how easy everything is, completely unaware that an enormous aura is gathering behind him. The moment Li Changshou notices it, he immediately wonders what is happening that day and why a simple gathering of the Sea God Sect is causing so many different factions to react. The newcomers turn out to be Ao Mu, Ao Yi, Han Ji, and several soldiers from the Dragon Palace. After confirming that these people belong to the so-called Sea God Sect, Ao Mu becomes enraged and orders his soldiers to seize the Sea God statue and destroy it. As the Dragon Palace soldiers move to carry out the order, everyone from Xiong Village immediately ignores Li Changshou's old man effigy and rushes back to defend the statue. Seeing the villagers returning gives Li Changshou a headache. Everything he has done to lure them away is wasted, and the situation only becomes more chaotic. The people of Xiong Village release their aura once again and declare that they will kill the non-believers, leading them straight into battle against the Dragon Palace soldiers. However, Xiong Village holds the advantage because of their bloodline. At the same time, Ao Yi notices that the sea god looks exactly like Li Changshou. He wonders how Li Changshou somehow became the South Ocean sea god and infers that this could be part of some human scheme, but he cannot understand why anyone would choose Li Changshou when he has not even achieved immortality. Back at Little Qiang Peak, Li Changshou kneels before Qi Yuan and admits that he is unworthy because he has accumulated a large amount of negative karma, which may implicate both him and Lan Ling in the future. Because of that, Li Changshou requests a promise from Qi Yuan. If an expert ever comes after him, he and Lan Ling must leave him alone instead of getting involved. Qi Yuan questions why Li Changshou is suddenly frightening him when everything is still fine, while Lan Ling also grows concerned and wants to know what is wrong. Li Changshou explains that the real problem is that there is nowhere to hide, and with little time remaining, he insists that both of them must promise him. Lan Ling quickly catches onto something and questions whether all of this is about something he has not even done yet. Li Changshou confirms that he is only about to do it, but before taking that step, he wants to warn the two of them just in case. Qi Yuan immediately becomes annoyed because Li Changshou has not actually done anything wrong yet. Yet, he is already talking as though disaster is guaranteed. Lan Ling reacts similarly, explaining that this is simply how Li Changshou normally behaves and that Qi Yuan will eventually get used to it. She then questions how confident Li Changshou actually is. After considering it, Li Changshou estimates that he is about 80% certain. However, the moment he reflects on that number, he decides that 80% is not good enough and immediately rushes away to find another solution. Lan Ling then reminds Qi Yuan that even if it seems pointless, they should still remember Li Changshou's warning. Qi Yuan agrees, though he cannot understand why Li Changshou is already making such a huge fuss so early. At the same time, the battle between the South Ocean Dragon Palace and Xiong Village reaches a standstill, with both sides completely exhausted. Then, without warning, the Sea God statue begins rising from the ground. The people of Xiong Village instantly erupt in celebration, convinced that the Sea God is finally coming to life. Ao Mu is enraged, declaring that he doesn't care even if the Sea God comes to life, so they should simply destroy the Sea God statue. Meanwhile, Ao Yi is caught off guard when someone suddenly communicates with him through voice transmission, wanting to know how much he understands about the dragon race's current predicament. His eyes widen, the moment he recognizes Li Changshou's voice. Li Changshou explains that after learning how worried he was about the dragon race during their last conversation, he has recently come up with a few countermeasures for him. Ao Yi keeps looking around, trying to figure out where Li Changshou is and wondering if he is somewhere nearby. For a moment, Ao Yi wonders if Li Changshou has already begun walking the path of becoming a god before becoming an immortal, and whether Li Changshou's statue is actually sending the voice transmission. However, he quickly laughs at the idea, deciding that it cannot be possible. Li Changshou clears his throat and instructs him to stop looking around because he is sending the transmission from right beside him. He then requests that, if Ao Yi trusts him, he temporarily withdraw those immortal flood dragon troops from the South Ocean Dragon Palace before arranging to meet him in the nearby forest after he finishes the ceremony. Ao Yi agrees, confirming that he understands. At the same time, the Dragon Palace troops see that the statue really seems to have come to life, making them reluctant to destroy it, because they fear being punished for attacking it. The people of Xiong Village, however, erupt in celebration, pledging their loyalty to the sea god while taunting the Dragon Palace troops to come fight them again. Ao Mu becomes even more agitated and contacts the Dragon Palace for reinforcements, determined to demolish the Sea God Sect and the South Ocean Sea God Temple. However, Ao Yi calmly orders him to retreat. Without even thinking, Ao Mu repeats his words and instructs the person on the phone to retreat. Only after speaking does he realize what he has done. Turning toward Ao Yi and wondering whether retreating like this would be embarrassing, Ao Yi looks big and sinister as he cracks his knuckles, demanding that Ao Mu repeat what he just said. Ao Mu immediately panics and agrees with him, ordering everyone to retreat at once. As Ao Mu and his troops withdraw, the people of Xiong Village celebrate their victory, though he warns them not to get too excited because they will return. The villagers continue cheering anyway, declaring that there is no need to wait for the future and that they should finish the battle immediately. Then, without warning, the sea god statue speaks and orders everyone to quiet down. The villagers are ecstatic, convinced that the sea god is truly alive and has finally answered them. The high priest, however, is stunned because he always believed the sea god was merely something he created. Through the statue, Li Changshou proclaims that he has manifested his true spirit to create good fortune for everyone, instructing them to remain thrifty and friendly while protecting the old and young. They must not fear hardship, because happiness will follow, and from this day onward, he will teach them the true words of the Sea God Sect, requiring every one of them to remember to be good people and follow heaven and earth. Then, Li Changshou suddenly questions the priest and high priest about why they are not bowing and kneeling like everyone else when they know he is the sea god and have even built a temple for him in the South Ocean. The high priest decides to play along with the fake god for now and orders everyone to bow before the sea god. Li Changshou declares that it is already too late, so their punishment will be having their souls taken away for a few days before they wake again. The high priest is shocked by those words, especially when one of his men suddenly collapses in front of him. Unbeknownst to him, the man has only been knocked unconscious by some soft immortal disperser. Li Changshou then challenges whether he truly believes that having the bloodline of the Magi means nothing can be done to him, before declaring that he must pay for using his name to make money. Only then does the high priest realize that the sea god is real. Li Changshou continues by questioning whether his ancestors never warned them to avoid going out and simply hide in a corner, along with whether every generation's leader was not specifically instructed to avoid causing trouble. As the questioning continues over everything he has done throughout those years, the high priest's voice begins trembling with fear as he pleads for the almighty sea god to spare them. Li Changshou then demands to know whether Xiong Village still wants to continue existing, because if they do not, he will remove them before they can further tarnish their ancestors' reputation. The high priest quickly kneels, insisting that they absolutely want to continue existing. He then pleads for the sea god to punish only him because he was the greedy one who came up with the idea, while the villagers merely followed his instructions. A sinister glint appears in the statue's eyes as Li Changshou declares that the upper echelons of the Sea God Sect are under his control, so in that case, the high priest's soul will also be punished for a few days. As soon as those words are spoken, the high priest is knocked unconscious by the soft immortal disperser as well. Li Changshou then announces that although the high priest has been greedy for money for a long time, he has not committed any major mistake. Since they respect him as the sea god, He will also grant them the distinction of living beings who can understand the difference between wisdom and foolishness, so from now on, they must not commit anything dirty or undeserving. The statue then descends into the ground while Li Changshou instructs his believers to continue the celebration, maintain order, and make sure nobody gets hurt. The villagers immediately erupt into cheers once again. Meanwhile, far away from the sea god statue, Ao Yi sits on a rock in an empty forest, wondering why Li Changshou has not arrived yet after claiming that he wanted to discuss the Dragon Clan's predicament. Suddenly, Li Changshou emerges from the tree trunk behind him and apologizes for making him wait. Ao Yi is startled, but he assures him that it is fine because he has only just arrived. He immediately gets to the point, wanting Li Changshou to clarify something about the Sea God Sect. Li Changshou does not respond verbally. Instead, he points toward the sky, then toward his mouth, and finally toward Ao Yi. Ao Yi concludes that, just as he expected, Li Changshou has merely been coerced into the situation, while the experts of the Ren school are the ones collecting the incense offerings. Li Changshou responds with an evil grin, amused that this is entirely Ao Yi's own guess because he never said anything. Li Changshou acts deeply remorseful as he apologizes to Ao Yi for the damage those divine envoys caused to the Dragon Palace's immortal troops. Still, he points out that for those devotees to injure the immortal Flood Dragon troops so badly, they must be quite skilled, and they clearly do not seem like ordinary people. Ao Yi agrees, explaining that it is not only the experts of the Ren school behind them, since they must also have support from the Magi. Hearing this, Li Changshou privately feels that Ao Yi has basically revealed nothing at all. Remembering the Dragon Clan's current predicament, Ao Yi questions how much Li Changshou knows about it. Li Changshou replies that there are no external problems, but ancient disasters remain, and surviving while trapped in a drunken state is difficult. He then taps Ao Yi on the shoulder and acknowledges what he has done, but turning the situation around with his strength alone will be extremely difficult. Ao Yi admits that he is right. At the moment, the thing the Dragon Clan lacks most is merit. The Sea God Sect of the Southern Ocean is already beginning to rise. Magihumans are disguised as divine envoys. Meaningful doctrines are being used to promote enlightenment, and experts from the Ren school are backing them. Ao Yi has also seen the abundant merit gathered within the incense with his own eyes, so he knows it is real. Although approaching Li Changshou like this may seem thick-faced, Ao Yi is doing it to save the Dragon Clan. He knows Li Changshou probably will not agree, but he still has to give it everything he has and make the request. Looking ashamed, Ao Yi requests permission to help the South Ocean Sea God Sect, offering to become a guardian so he can earn some merit and protect himself as well. Without hesitation, Li Changshou agrees. The incense merit will be divided 8-2, with Li Changshou taking 8, while Ao Yi receives 2. Privately, however, Li Changshou has another calculation. Giving the Dragon Clan merit is essentially dragging them down with him, allowing him to use the Dragon Clan as a shield against pressure from the Western sects, while drawing some of that attention away from himself. Completely unaware of his true intentions, Ao Yi thanks him profusely and considers him a genuine friend. What Ao Yi does not know is that this is all part of Li Changshou's plan, with Li Changshou secretly laughing over the arrangement. He will take the merit, while they bear the risk. To free himself from the matter and allow the Southern Sea Divine Sect to operate on its own, Li Changshou first straightens out the envoys under Xiong Village, then orders them to cover the faces of every sea god statue. He also restricts the growth of the Sea God Sect, allowing its teachings to spread only through certain coastal regions, so they do not come into conflict with other sects. While the High Priest orders everyone to follow the Sea God's commands and live honestly, everyone agrees, and Li Changshou observes everything from a distance. After that, Li Changshou appoints Ao Yi as the second sect master and Azure Dragon Guardian. Ao Yi fully commits himself to the role, determined not to let him down. He immediately begins planning the next stages of preaching and spreading the Sea God Sect's doctrine, enthusiastically proposing that they fully develop within 30 years and spread their teachings throughout the borders of the Southern Sea within 300 years. Li Changshou simply leaves the matter to him. From that day onward, Ao Yi wants to address him as Brother Sect Master, but the title gives Li Changshou goosebumps, so he immediately stops him and makes it clear that brother is enough. Half a year later, Li Changshou finally emerges from the secret underground chamber. Trembling, he knocks on Lan Lingei's door to check whether she is there. When Lan Lingei opens the door, She is shocked by how extremely haggard he looks and questions what happened to him. Li Changshou is completely shriveled, and even his voice trembles as he explains that he needs to sleep there for a while to recover his energy, so he will have to trouble her to protect him. He also wants her to inform Qi Yuan later that he is fine for now and does not need to worry. The moment Li Changshou lies on Lan Ling's bed, he falls asleep within a second. Surprised by this, Lan Ling wonders just how long he has been awake. But since the matter is finally settled, she lets him rest. As she covers Li Changshou with her blanket, however, another idea enters her mind. Such a rare opportunity cannot simply be allowed to slip away. Lan Ling begins drooling as her eyes gleam sinisterly. While Li Changshou is asleep, she plans to lie beside him and secretly bring Qi Yuan over to witness the scene. As long as she begs Qi Yuan to make a decision afterward, her marriage with Li Changshou could be settled. To her, heaven has practically bestowed a perfect opportunity upon her. Since she and Li Changshou are a match made in heaven, she is convinced they are destined to form a marriage blessed by heaven. Pouting her lips, Lan Ling prepares to muster her courage and take Li Changshou down at once. But something suddenly passes above her head. It turns out to be an arrow messenger. The message checks whether any disciples from Little Keong Peak have yet to enter seclusion. It comes from the disciple currently responsible for guarding the sect, informing them that someone outside the sect is searching for a person from Little Keong Peak. Lan Lingy becomes so furious that she breaks the arrow messenger, cursing anyone who interrupts her date to death. Her outburst ends up waking Li Changshou, who questions what is wrong. Lan Ling immediately smiles and brushes it off as nothing more than her hitting mosquitoes, leaving Li Changshou confused and doubtful. However, Li Changshou can already sense a presence at the gates, so he stops her from hitting mosquitoes and has her go check the situation. Lan Ling reluctantly complies. Watching her leave, Li Changshou smiles to himself. If Lan Ling truly wants to implicate him, she is still about 100 years too early.